Welcome to Financial Issues, where we help you steward faithfully by honoring God with your investments. Now listen in as we give you the practical tools and advice you need to become a biblically responsible investor.
This is Financial Issues, where we help you defund darkness and fund the light by investing with biblical integrity. Folks, welcome to our Thursday show. Great to be here with you. Seth Udinski and Sam Case with you this morning. Mark is out today, folks. He will be back tomorrow, though, for Focus Friday. We're excited for that. Seth and Sam with you today. We're very excited to be with you. Sam, ready for a fun show?
You're not Mark.
I'm not Mark. No, I'm not.
Leaving.
Less handsome, but yes. No, Mark is not here today, but we are here, and we're excited to be here with you. And our phones are open, by the way, folks. I'd encourage you to give us a call. You know, Sam, I have had a great joy these last couple of weeks. I've talked to, I can't even count how many new partners I've talked to over the phone. People will call after hours and will, just talk through them getting their partnership set up. They'll ask questions, things like that. It's just such a great joy. And so getting to do that with you all, whether off air or on air, is such a joy. But take the opportunity to do it on air right now. We'll have the phones open for the next hour. 610-363-1110. That's the number to call in. 610-363-1110. Give us a call. Ask your questions. Join the conversation. We'd love to have you. Busy show today, folks. Matt Armstrong is going to join us later as we put our final push in for this Easter card campaign with Crossroads Kids Club. Very excited to talk about all of that. A couple other things. We have a lot of questions lined up here as well, so we'll get to those also. And again, the phones are open, 610-363-1110. But first and foremost, if you missed it, there was big news yesterday on Wall Street, or more like Capitol Hill, but it has an impact on Wall Street.
It drifts down.
That's right, exactly, Sam. The Federal Reserve met.
Hot dog.
They met. Sam, give us the details. What happened yesterday at the March meeting of the Fed?
Well, as I like to say, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, he descends. He descends from on high from Mount Fed, giving his words of wisdom, announcing that the Federal Reserve on Wednesday, yes, indeed, meeting all the expectations to hold interest rates steady, voting 11-1 to keep the benchmark federal funds rate in a range between 3.5 to 3.75%. That decision was made, at least in part, because of the ongoing war in Iran, which Fed Chair Jerome Powell did mention during his speech after the announcement. Here he is.
Today, the FOMC decided to leave our policy rate unchanged. We see the current stance of monetary policy as appropriate to promote progress toward our maximum employment and 2% inflation goals. The implications of developments in the Middle East for the U.S. economy are uncertain. We will remain attentive to risks to both sides of our dual mandate.
Now, the Fed is currently projecting at least one more rate cut sometime this year, but as Jerome Powell notes, that is always subject to change. So your thoughts, Seth?
You know, Sam, I feel a lot of this stuff is subject to change and subject to perhaps unclarity also. Seems to be, when Jerome Powell's time is up, and it is supposed to be up this coming May, I can only imagine, at least I'll look back on his 8 years as the Fed chair as just a time where there wasn't a lot of clarity, at least from these meetings. Just doesn't seem like it. I don't mean to dump on, on Powell in that much of a way. I mean to, I suppose, a little bit, but it is a tough job. At the same time, I think a little bit of clarity certainly isn't too much to ask for. Sam, I found this interesting. CNBC gave a top 5 takeaways from Jerome Powell's meeting.
Let her rip.
Let's just hear the profundity of these, okay? First of all, lots of uncertainty. Have we ever heard that before from the Fed? Every single meeting.
What I like about uncertainty, the phrase that the Fed uses, is that it assumes that there are times when things are not uncertain. Yeah. The future is by definition uncertain.
That's exactly right. And it's Sam, it's not even that Powell is saying things that are untrue. It's just he's saying things that a 6-year-old can understand. I think we can expect a little bit more clarity from someone in this type of position. Anyway, lots of uncertainty is number one. Number two, the war is a problem. War is always a problem on some level. Of course, that is the case. Number 3, cuts coming, but timing is highly uncertain. Have we ever heard that before from the Fed? I feel like we have. Cuts coming likely, but timing is uncertain. It will be interesting, Sam, to see if that cut comes at Powell's what's supposed to be his final, Fed meeting before he steps down as chair.
Which is open to question right now, right?
Yeah, and that's actually the number 4th kind of big takeaway is Powell is leaving the door open to staying. Seems to be more hype than it is actual real news here. He will stay on as governor most likely. He also said that he would be open to staying on as sort of a chair pro tem in the case of, like, say, you know, Governor Kevin Warsh is in the lead right now to take over, in case he's not confirmed yet. Some people are taking that as, oh, this is a problem. Powell's not going to leave. Seems like, Sam, this is just more procedural, though.
Oh, yeah. I don't even think this is Powell's own decision. I think this is actually the rules of the Fed, is if they can't get someone in there because, say, you're hung up in hearings to be confirmed, you're just going to keep him on. I think that's just the way things work.
Exactly.
Although, speaking of clarity, though, where Fed Chair Powell was really clear yesterday was when it came to stagflation. We've been talking about stagflation this week, what it means. And for whatever it does mean, Powell says it's not happening right now, regardless of what the media is saying. So we do have a clip of him saying that. Here he is.
You know, when we use the term stagflation, I always have to point out that was a 1970s term at a time when unemployment was in double figures and inflation was really high and the misery index was super high. Add them together, you get the misery index. And that's not the case right now. We actually have unemployment really close to longer run normal, and we have inflation that's, you know, 1 percentage point above that. So calling that stagflation, it's not, you know, I would reserve the term stagflation for, you know, a much more serious set of circumstances. That is not the situation we're in.
So I really appreciate how definitive he was about there, because yet again, yesterday I saw another article, I think it was on Market Watch, and they used almost the same language that all the other outlets are using, saying that the stagflation signals are flashing bright red. And Powell right here is really clearly saying, no, it's not.
Yeah. No, I totally agree, Sam. And, you know, taking all those things into consideration, because that was actually the fifth takeaway from Powell's meeting, was his rejection of stagflation. I think it's a mixed bag, honestly. And I think that's kind of a microcosm, not only of Jerome Powell's tenure, but also of, I think, the Federal Reserve in general. I personally don't like the Federal Reserve. I get that there are some things that the Federal Reserve provides that could be good things. And then there's also the question of, well, if you take the Federal Reserve away, what replaces it? Do you put Congress in charge of, you know, all those things? That could be problematic as well. So I think mixed bag is really kind of the best way to describe it here. My hope is that Powell can finish out his term well. I do hope that we get another Fed chair in immediately. I do have a little bit of a concern, Sam, that there could be some kind of political jockeying there where maybe there will be some delays almost to keep Powell in there. I don't know if there's just a little bit of that to stick it to Trump, because we know Trump doesn't like Powell, but we'll have to see how all that plays out. At any rate, there will be one more Fed meeting during Powell's tenure. I believe it's at the end of April. So could be interesting, Sam, too, to see, you know, maybe Powell will try to get that rate cut pushed forward at that meeting so he can take credit for it. I don't know.
It's hard to know. It's uncertain.
It is very uncertain. That's right. Listen, don't ask us. Ask Jerome Powell. Very uncertain.
And we do know they are squarely focused on the twofold mandate.
At least we know that. They've been squarely focused on that twofold mandate for a long time. But there it is, folks. So yesterday's meeting, of course, obviously it did have a little something to do with the markets. So they were a little skittish in the morning. It wasn't really all that bad. We saw a hotter than expected inflation reading, but the looming Fed interest rate decision was really what the markets were focused on. And then after the Fed's announcement, that's when the markets kind of dropped yesterday. So it really was no surprise with everything going on. They certainly don't jump for joy whenever Fed Chair Jerome Powell is unclear, and that does happen quite often, as we were joking about earlier. By Wednesday's closing bell, we saw the Dow Jones down 1.6%, the S&P 500 was down 1.4%, NASDAQ down 1.5%, and the Russell 2000 was down right around 1.6% or so as well. The futures this morning down as well, though not as far. Brent oil has jumped. The Dow is pricing in right around a quarter. 0.75% negative. Same with the S&P 500, and the NASDAQ is creeping down towards a full percentage point negative. So that's what we're seeing this morning, folks. My opinion on this, and you've heard Mark talk about this a lot, this kind of stuff is going to happen during the life cycle of a long-term investor. We're going to see wars. We're going to see stuff like that happen. We have to make sure that we're not shaken to the core by this stuff, but that we stay singularly focused on honoring God with the money that he's given to us and being good, solid, long-term investors. As Mark Mark has said, and we're going to address this later on in the show if we have time with some of your questions, this could be a great opportunity to buy in at those blue light prices that Mark has been talking about. Maybe some highly valued stocks that we saw extremely highly valued, especially in the tech sector in recent times. Maybe they'll come down a little bit and we can see a good entry point there. So don't be discouraged. Keep your head focused forward on what's going on here, and I think it'll be a good thing for us. 610-363-1110. Appreciate you all so much. And I do hope that if you're a new listener that you'll consider becoming a partner today. Now's a great time to become a partner with Financial Issues. You get access to so many things, our stock picks, asset allocation models, the portfolio tracker, weekly commentary. This past commentary was a great one. Conference calls, monthly conference calls, all of that. Be well worth $132 a year, which we hear constantly is too cheap. We're not going to change those prices because we want it to be affordable for everyone.
To reiterate, it's per year, not per month.
It's per year. It's per year. So it's a great deal. You really can't beat it. 610-363-1110. Appreciate you all joining us today, folks. We'll talk more on the other side of this break. We'll have Matt Armstrong on the program. A lot of questions to get to. Hope you'll join us as well. Great to be here with you today. We'll be right back after this break. Here at Financial Issues, we believe in being faithful stewards of everything God has entrusted to us, and nothing is more important than investing in the next generation. The most meaningful way we can do that is by sharing the hope of salvation with young people, giving them a foundation of truth that can shape the rest of their lives. Crossroads Kids Club is an after-school program that brings the gospel directly to elementary school children in public schools across the country. Week after week, volunteers have the opportunity to build consistent, Christ-centered relationships with kids during some of their most formative years. These aren't just programs, they're life-changing encounters that point children to Jesus and surround them with encouragement, mentorship, and biblical truth. Together, we can make a lasting difference for the kingdom. We can help reach children who may never otherwise hear the good news. If you feel called to be part of sharing the gospel with kids in public schools, visit reachOurschools.com. Again, that's reachOurschools.com.
Are you tired of the chaos? There are a lot of things that make noise, but only a few that truly matter. As a parent, I want to leave something that will last for a long time.
Invest $300 a month increase on slowly by the time you retire.
Not just an inheritance of money, but a legacy of godly values.
Here at Financial Issues, we want to help you grow your money, but our main goal is to help you honor God with the money that He's given you.
Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
My baby was like this big, and I saw his heart beating on the screen. I went from, I don't want this baby, to talking to my child on the screen. That sonogram changed my life. I went from just Candace to Mom.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
Welcome back, everyone. Wonderful to have you this morning. Again, phone lines are open. Give us a call. I'd love to talk to you. Phone number 610-363-1110. 610-363-1110. Don't be shy. Also, don't be shy about signing our Trump Accounts for All petition, TrumpAccountsForAll.com. We want the Trump administration to open up their Trump accounts, a wonderful way to invest for children's future for everyone. We want a biblically responsible option. We're not asking them to do only biblically responsible, but we want that as an option. So that's what this petition is. Go sign it. It's exactly right. We want choice. Not to sound like the left, freedom of choice, but we do want freedom of choice here. We want to be able to choose to invest with biblical integrity and to be able to partake in what is really a good thing as well. So join that. We've got many signatures on that, but we need more. So go and sign that right now. TrumpAccountsForAll.com. You know, speaking of investing in the next generation, folks, I'm so grateful for Crossroads Kids Club and the work that they do. We have a wonderful opportunity right now to give hilariously with Crossroads Kids Club. By the way, that term giving hilariously just means giving abundantly, giving overwhelmingly. Crossroads.
Giving without care.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Giving without care, not worrying. We are right now in the midst of, and actually coming to the end of, our Easter season campaign with Crossroads Kids Club, where we want you to join us in writing a handwritten message for a child in a public school. We have a lot of messages written already. This is great. But this is kind of your last chance to do it, folks. These next couple days is really your last opportunity. So if you have not done so, during this interview, I'm going to have Matt Armstrong on in just a moment to talk about it, but go to reachOurSchools.com and write that Easter card. You can type it in. It won't take you more than 5 or 10 minutes, really. So go ahead and do that right now. And while you're doing that, listen to my friend Matt Armstrong, who's joining me now. Matt's the CEO of Crossroads Kids Club, and I'm so grateful to have him with me on the show. Matt, welcome back, brother.
Thanks, Seth. So good to be with you, as always.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It really is. Hey, Matt, would you just remind our listeners why we are doing this Easter card campaign? What's the big deal about writing a card?
Yeah, well, so Crossroads' mission is about bringing the good news of Jesus to children inside public schools. And normally, and well, always really, we mobilize local churches, and volunteers from the church go into the school and they work with those kids week by week. But what can sometimes happen, right? These are often unchurched kids, and many of them come to Jesus, and this club becomes their community. But it can, with this card campaign, we have an opportunity to let them know that there's a global body of Christ that's so much bigger than just what's happening at their school, right? So financial issues partners and listeners have the opportunity to send a message directly to these kids that they're prayed for, that they're cared for by the broader body of Christ. And I think that's a pretty special opportunity.
You know, Matt, it really is awesome. And it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately as I have children of my own, that children, and this is a sad thing, but it's a true reality, children are a prime target of the enemy. The enemy wants to get children early, to get them. And I don't mean like to get them like the boogeyman gets them. I mean to get them to where their hearts don't love Christ, where they love the things of this world, to tempt them, to sway them with temptation, also to destroy their hope, to destroy their souls ultimately. Could you speak to that for just a moment, Matt, why this is so key, that it's children that we're targeting here?
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. I mean, the scriptures tell us, right? The thief comes to steal and kill and destroy. And he is not a respecter of persons, old, young, rich, poor. He is here to steal and kill and destroy. Yeah. But I think with children specifically, as you've mentioned, they are so malleable still, so open to ideas and so on and so forth, right? And so this is an opportunity for us to bring the good news to them. But conversely, it's an opportunity for the enemy to get in there and shape them by worldly thoughts and desires. And so it's just an age of opportunity for whichever side, right? So I hope we take advantage of that opportunity, which we strive to do every day, to bring the good news and to bring hope of the gospel.
Absolutely. Matt, what are some of the needs that you guys meet when you go into these public schools? What are the needs that the kids are facing? Do you get kids who just go through, kind of the day-to-day normal stuff? Do you ever get kids who go through abuse situations? They're coming from difficult situations like that. Do you get Christian kids who come? Is it kind of across the board?
It is across the board. Again, Crossroads desires to reach all kids in all places. So we have clubs that are meeting in urban contexts, suburban contexts, wealthier schools, poor schools, in 13 different states currently. So we see kind of the cross-section of what's going on around the country. So some kids, of course, are coming from fantastic, loving homes, even Christian homes, but vast majority are not coming from Christian homes. Many are coming from, we've seen all kinds of things from coming from two moms or two dads, as parents. We're seeing, just, of course, anxiety is on the rise, and mental health issues, which makes a lot of news with kids. So we see that. And we believe fundamentally that the answer to those things is a relationship with Jesus. It is having caring adults who will listen to the child and help them process and just know that Jesus will never leave them or forsake them.
Matt, that's awesome. And, I want to shift gears for just a moment here. part of what Financial Issues does, and I see this as part of our mission here, when we defund darkness and fund the light, we also want to come alongside churches and ministries, seeing them get connected. There's strength in numbers there. If we can join up with ministries like yours or with local churches, we can see great advancement of the gospel. It's so true. And you guys are actually doing that already on your own. There's this church to school model that Crossroads has to mobilize churches to reach kids. Would you tell us a little bit about this? Why do you guys do this?
Yeah. Well, for a couple of key reasons. So as you say, that the model is that we would mobilize and then equip and support and walk with a local church, helping them to start and lead a thriving outreach in a public school in their community. So why do we do it that way? First, on the financial and business kind of case for that, right, is that it's a leveraged model. So if Crossroads hired staff to lead clubs all across America, that would be a very significant headwind in terms of structure, operations, and of course, finances, right? If instead we can focus our efforts on developing the best tools and training and outreach to church communications, right? And then mobilize those local churches, wow, it's leveraged. And so we can reach far more kids in that way. The second thing is it's about scale, and there's 3 churches for every school across America. So again, that allows us to scale and reach many more kids than we could alone. And then finally, there's a biblical theological reason, which is that the church is the hope of the world. The church is Jesus's idea. It's his bride, and we want to see these kids not just in a life stage ministry, but we want to see them being discipled and part of local churches for life, and having a place where their families can come in as well.
Mm-hmm. Matt, as you've told me before, both on and off the air, these kids might not have the ability to go to a church, but the church certainly has the ability to get to these kids. And so if you guys can meet them where they're at, man, that's so huge. Matt, I know you have a specific story about a church that does this really well. I believe it's called Piney Grove Church. Would you tell us more about this particular church?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we just produced a new video story to tell this story about this one local church that it's about 3.5 years ago. They first came onto our radar screen, Piney Grove Baptist Church in Fuquay-Varina, North Carolina. And this church, the children's director there, Michelle, she had been looking for ways to reach out in the community. They had partnered with, I think, some government programs with the county, but they weren't able to talk about Jesus. It was not really satisfying to her ultimately. And then one of our team members, Kim, happened to reach out and call and speak to Michelle, and they got together and met. So little by little, building that relationship, we were able to help them get into a school. In their first year, they had 30 kids in a waiting list. The second year, they doubled to 60. This year, they're almost at 90, again, with a waiting list. And Michelle has said, I believe it's 19 children, she said, have already been baptized and started coming to their church. And I think the number she gave was 38 different families have started coming to their church. And so we just see where when a church does go into the community and build relationships with the people where they are, those can turn into bridges, right? And so it can really drive some of the growth, the conversion growth of a local church.
Folks, talking to Matt Armstrong, reachourschools.com is the place to go to learn more about Crossroads Kids Club. Matt, my last question for you is, I'm sure there are at least several listeners in our audience right now who maybe their interest was piqued when they heard you discuss this church to school model, and they maybe thought, I wonder if my local church would be interested. How would a listener go about getting their church connected with Crossroads?
Yeah, well, on the website, crossroadskidsclub.com, there's a Start a Club button, and you could go there and get some information. But to be honest, you could just reach out to me directly. You can email me at matt.armstrong@crossroadskidsclub.com, and I will connect you in the right direction.
Awesome. Matt.Armstrong@crossroadskidsclub.com. Matt, you guys are a blessing, man. We appreciate you so much. And folks, I just want to say one more time, reachourschools.com. Let's get as many Easter cards as we can so that these kids get a flood of gospel hope and messages when these cards are delivered. Matt, when will you guys do that, by the way? Will it be like the week before Easter?
Yeah, well, the plan is actually next week, so the week before Easter, because a lot of schools are on spring break the week before Easter, right? And so we'll get them out about 10 or days or so before Easter. You
guys do great work, brother. We appreciate you so much, Matt. Reachourschools.com.
We appreciate you as well.
Absolutely.
All right. Blessings
Thanks, brother.
to you.
God bless, Matt. Folks, there he is, Matt Armstrong, CEO of Crossroads Kids Club. We love the work that they do, and check them out again, reachourschools.com. Hey, Sam, let's get to a quick question here before the end of this segment to catch our larger audience here. Why don't we do Brian, 73?
Brian, age 73, says, is there a date or perhaps day of the week that stocks change from the buy to hold to sell or watch list?
Brian, thanks for the question there. I appreciate that. There is no particular day. Usually, it's going to happen in the early to midweek, but there's no particular official day for it. It does happen, though, on a weekly basis if there is a change. Furthermore, I'll just tell you this also, changes from hold to sell to buy. And folks, by the way, this is partner-specific information, so if you want to learn more about it, financialissues.org, become a partner right now. Those changes always will be accompanied by a partner alert. So that partner alert will be put on the alerts page, and you'll also get an email with that too. Changes from hold to sell or buy to sell always come with an alert. Any non-sell changes, though, like if a stock goes on the buy list or if it even goes from a buy to hold, they're always reflected in that week's particular commentary, and sometimes will also be accompanied with an alert if we feel like it's appropriate to do that. So the alerts will always come on a sell, and often they will be on those other movements as well, if a stock goes on the hold or on the buy list or something like that. So, Brian, it's a weekly basis. I would keep an eye out on that alerts page on the website. Thank you for your desire to honor God with what he's given to you, brother. And folks, listen, if you want to get that access that Brian and so many others have, become a partner today. Financialissues.org, $132 a year. It is truly one of the best deals around. You can't beat it. $132 a year. Financialissues.org. Click that Become a Partner button. Coming up on the other side of this break, folks, a lot of questions to get to, and I'd love to hear from you as well. Give us a call. 610-363-1110. If you have to leave us, we hope you have a great rest of the day and that you'll join us for Focus Friday tomorrow and overtime as well. Don't be late for that. More financial issues up next. We'll be back.
Preborn is making motherhood possible for thousands of moms across America.
I found out that I was pregnant, and my family, they were like, no, you're not having this baby. I met Miss Linda. She told me about all the great resources, like they offer free baby clothes, they offer free classes, stuff for mom. She prayed with me. She told me to ask God to, guide me to my decision. She made it completely like my choice. She offered to get me an ultrasound, and I found out I was 6 weeks pregnant. That's where I very first heard the heartbeat of my son, and I was sold. Whatever I gotta do, whatever comes my way, I'm just gonna, have this baby. It was really a great thing that I was led to the choice to keep on.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
There are moments in life that
Read carefully.
Grateful to have you folks. Hope you'll join us in the conversation today. Let's get right to it here, shall we? Sam, we got an interesting question coming in from Bob. Why don't we start with Bob
Seth,
there?
the questions are always interesting.
They are always interesting.
So
We
Bob
appreciate
says,
that.
I agree with your statement on the importance of long-term perspective and disciplined analysis. With that in mind, the Trump administration tech folks have privatized our monetary payment system and are moving to tokenize all assets as well. The big financial houses are leading tokenization worldwide. A coming shift in economic policy will accept/validate Islamic finance principles in fintech and AI, etc. How do you see all this integrating with BRI? Kind of a complicated question.
It is,
Seth.
Bob. I appreciate you asking it, and it's as much of a question as it is kind of a almost like a prediction. I think Bob is given here. So Bob, let's try to make some sense of this. And by the way, folks, if you want to chime in, you can call in 610-363-1110 or chime in on the chat. See what Bob thinks. I'll say right off the bat, brother, you're not wrong that the Trump administration has moved towards more of a token-friendly financial system across the nation. That's well-known, common knowledge, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Let me give you a few things that they've done.
Part of how he got elected.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
With the tech bros and embracing Bitcoin and all this new stuff.
He is and whether it's simply because he's the latest president that we have or because he actually believes this, he's the most cryptocurrency-friendly president we've ever had in the history of our nation. There's no doubt about that. Some of the things that he's done, he signed an executive order almost on his first day in office, like a couple days later, titled Strengthening American Leadership in Digital Financial Technology, just promoting blockchain use across sectors, different things like that.
I know his idea is to make
stablecoins.
America the crypto leader. So if you have crypto, it's basically backed by America in some ways.
Yep. In addition to that, he also kind of spearheaded the SEC repealing the Staff Accounting Bulletin 121 that had discouraged banks from custodying tokenized assets by treating them as liabilities. So Trump moved away from that, which was pro kind of cryptocurrency in that way. Also, the Genius Act, which we talked about on this show back in the summer of 2025, created a federal framework for stable coins, often seen as kind of the foundational on-chain cash for tokenized ecosystems. Bob, all that to say, I think you're right. Trump is moving in that direction. He's no doubt the crypto president, as it were, but I don't see that as a huge problem. I don't see that as a huge red flag. And I think the time frame might be much further out than we think. I think it's all opinion and speculation. And most importantly, Bob, here's what Trump is really doing, I think. He is simply pushing for more financial freedom. I really think that is what he's doing. Now, I'm not saying this as a promotion of cryptocurrency, by the way. I think there's a lot of dangers in cryptocurrency. But what Trump is doing is simply efforts towards more financial freedom, moving away from the dollar, moving away from traditional currency, towards making cryptocurrencies more normalized. I think that's rather benign. I don't see anything particularly problematic with that. It can become problematic if put in the wrong hands, but right now I don't think it is. And then as for, some of the other things that you said, the coming shift in economic policy will accept/validate Islamic finance principles and fintech, AI, all that. Listen, brother, I really think you can breathe a sigh of relief. I just don't see this happening. I don't see this happening with this administration. I really don't. I could be wrong. But think about it right now. Right now, as we speak, the Trump administration is waging a war against one of the Islamic leading powers in the Middle East. He just led the airstrike that killed their top officials. I know Israel did some of that as well, but Trump is not pro-Islam. He absolutely is not. The Trump administration is pro-America. And I believe they're very pro-Christian as well. And I don't see any coming shifts in economic policies under this administration that is going to play well with Islamic principles or is going to make it so that Sharia law can have more of a comfortable place in American society. I just don't see that. Maybe you see something different, Bob, and if so, please do let me know. But I'll tell you this, Sharia law does not belong here. And certainly under the Trump administration, it does not belong. I don't believe it will be. As for integrating with BRI, I think it's a moot point, simply because fundamental Islamist principles like Sharia law are not biblically responsible. They will never coincide with biblically responsible investing. In fact, we screen out some of the things that Sharia law might even promote, like terrorism, things like that. So just something to consider there. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I think it's a good question. I think it's a good thing to keep our eyes on as well, Bob. But it's good to remember any law that conflicts with our Constitution will not stand. By the way, if you read the founders, they saw the dangers of radical Islam back in the 18th century. Now, that was during the days of the Ottoman Empire, so it looked a little bit different. But they saw it back then and made sure that the Constitution was ready for that also. And so we're seeing the same thing here. I think this
our oldest enemy
similar.
As a country has been Islamists.
Yeah.
With the shores of Tripoli, the Barbary pirates.
Exactly. Jefferson was very keen on this also. You know, he really understood that they could be a serious global foe to freedom in particular. So, Bob, all that, it's a great question, brother. I really appreciate that. If you've got comments, folks, let us know, what you think about what Bob has said there. But I don't see too much to worry about there, Bob. I will say this again, though. I'm not saying that this is a promotion of cryptocurrency either. I think we have to be cautious with cryptocurrency. Very, very cautious. It is the Wild West. There's not a lot of safeguards around it. Trump is addressing that with these things. I still wouldn't consider it a good investment for a good, solid, wise, long-term, biblically responsible investor. So that's just my opinion. Bob, a great question. I appreciate it. Sam, let's get to Linda. I think we have Linda up next here.
Linda, age 60, first time investing for retirement at ages 60 and 63, no debt in most places, planning to open a Roth and Fidelity to invest in Timothy Plan mutual funds from the FISM buy list. What would you recommend, the growth fund model or the growth and income model? Does these models allow buying a stock or two for learning, and what would be wise?
Well, Linda, it's a great question. I appreciate that so much, and I'm excited that you're getting started, and I'll say great work on the debt and on the moat. Not having the debt and having the moat. That's really
what she
good.
said. No debt, and she has the moat.
No debt, you have the moat. That's the foundation right there, Lisa. Great job for successful investing. Successful finances start there, so you're on the right track. Lisa, you know me. I love the Roth. The Roth is a great option for you. Just keep in mind the 5-year rule for withdrawals. So you're past the age of 59 and a half, which ordinarily, if you had had a Roth previously for more than 5 years, now would be the time where you could withdraw on it penalty-free. But because you're after 59 and a half, this 5-year rule that the government has, it applies to you. So what it is you have to wait 5 years before you can draw down on the gains in the Roth, not the principal. So you can still withdraw on the principal penalty free, but on the gains, you have to wait 5 years. Nonetheless, it's still a great option. I like it. The Roth is my favorite type of investment option, especially for long-term investing. So I think it's a great option for you. Really good. As for which model to choose, Linda, that's another good question. I would say the fund option would be the right choice for you. So the fund model is based more heavily in mutual funds as well as ETFs, and I hope you look at the ETFs too. There are two options kind of within that you said. And by the way, the reason I said the fund model is because you had said in your question, I believe you had said, or maybe you didn't say it there, but you had mentioned the growth fund model or the regular growth and income model. So let's just go through some of those options there. Based on your age alone, I think conventional wisdom would be to move more in the direction of the growth and income. The growth and income model. That model is generally built for folks in their 50s or 60s near the age of retirement, which is right where you are. It allows you to have good exposure in growth plays as well as income plays also as you near retirement. But there's one consideration I would give you, Linda. It's the fact that this is your first time investing for retirement. Now, let me say this. That's not a bad thing, okay? Any time to invest is a good time. But because this is your first time investing, you might have a little bit of catching up to do, which again is not a bad thing. It's just your situation. Because of that, a good argument could also be made for the growth model. I really believe that. I think a good argument is made for the growth model. Because you haven't invested, you might take the chance with a little more risk right now. I'm not saying forever, but right now, little more risk, the opportunity for maybe more growth than the growth and income model might offer you. What you have to figure out with this, Linda, is your risk tolerance. We call it your sleep factor and your time horizon. Risk tolerance, time horizon, very important. Let's say, for example, you're planning to work at least another 10 years. I'd be very comfortable with you going into the growth model. because you have a good 7 years where you can really grow hard. Over the next couple years, you might switch to the growth and income, get a little more income plays in there, and then gradually move to the income model by the time you're done working 10 years from now. Even if it's 7 years from now, you still have a couple years to be really aggressive. That's my leaning, but all of this comes down to what you feel most comfortable with. It really does. You got to ask yourself this question: what's my time horizon and what's my sleep factor? Now, how much risk am I willing to expose myself to? And then your last question, is it wise to buy an individual stock or two for investing? Absolutely. I think that's a great idea, especially as you're learning, you're getting started. It'd be a wonderful thing for you to do is go with the fund model. But also feel free to buy one or two of those buy list holdings and just put a little bit of money in there. Don't make it a huge portion of your portfolio. We're talking 1%, 2%, right around that area. But it'd be a great thing for you to do. And who knows, Linda, you might do that and you might find regular equities actually fit me really well. I really enjoy this. Maybe I'll do the regular model instead of the fund model. There's nothing against either one. They're both really good, but they're both different. You might find that. You might still find that you'll go into a little bit of funds here and there if you do the regular model because it has that built in. All that to say, Linda, it's exciting. I'm really excited for the spot you're in. It's a great foundation. Well done on having zero debt again and having that moat around your castle. That's awesome. I tell you, it's real simple. Just seek the Lord. Seek the Lord on how he would lead you. Make a decision, be a blessing in it. Pick one of those models, go for it. Pick one or two stocks on the buy list that you'll put a little bit of money into and get it started. And it's really exciting. I trust that you'll do a great job, Linda. Thanks for your question. It's a really good one. More questions to get to on the other side, folks. Appreciate you all joining us today. Hope you'll mark your calendars tomorrow. Focus Friday and overtime afterwards. Make sure that you join us for that. It's going to be a great time. But we got one more segment today. 610-363-1110. We'll be right back. Here at Financial Issues, we believe in being faithful stewards of everything God has entrusted to us, and nothing is more important than investing in the next generation. Crossroads Kids Club is an after-school program that brings the gospel directly to elementary school children in public schools across the country. These aren't just programs, they're life-changing encounters that point children to Jesus and surround them with encouragement, mentorship, and biblical truth. If you feel called to be part of sharing the gospel with kids in public schools, visit ReachOur.
In the last 10 to 15 years being in ministry, being married, something that has been constant in our lives is Samaritan Ministries. As we've moved, we've had babies, we've had different things come up, we have just been able to rely on Samaritan in ways that we never really even thought about before becoming members.
Our heart's desire is to plant roots and be in a place for a really long time. It's how we were raised. We see the benefits of that, but we also see the open-handedness of being used by the Lord wherever he calls, because we just assumed when we started pursuing church planting, the quickest way to get from point A to point B is a straight line. And with the Lord, sometimes you find out it looks a lot more like this. And yet, Samaritan was with us through the entire thing.
We didn't have to look into, we have to change insurances now because we've moved states or whatever the case may be. And it's just been a real blessing to us in different phases of life.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Colleen.
We're the Gen X.
And we're Samaritan members.
My baby was like this big, and I saw his heart beating on the screen. I went from, I don't want this baby, to talking to my child on the screen. That sonogram changed my life. I went from just Candace to Mom.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
Opinions and recommendations expressed on this program do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station or any of the program sponsors. Additionally, all products or services offered by the program sponsors may not be known by the program.
Good to have you all with us, folks. Hey, some news here. Looks like Alibaba stock, this is Chinese-owned tech giant Alibaba. They missed estimates in December quarter there. Their net income dropped 66%. They got clobbered in the pre-markets. I'd imagine they're still getting hit pretty hard right now. Part of the reason I bring this up is because I actually think this is a really good thing because what it is revealing is that the United States is firmly in charge when it comes to the AI arms race. So our mortal enemy China there, or I should say our mortal enemy, the Communist Chinese Party, as my friend Frank Gaffney would correct me if I said that. They have been a kind of our main competitor with the AI arms race here in this new Cold War. Seems like the United States is in firm command, which is a good thing. So just wanted to bring that to your attention there, folks. We are seeing also gold and silver dropping this morning as well. This is going to happen with investments like these. Don't be concerned. It's dropping pretty heavily here for sure. This is part of why we have it as a small sliver of our portfolio there. So just a couple things for you to keep in mind there. I believe we have some gold nuggets, as it were, to talk about on the show tomorrow, Sam, when Mark gets back.
That is correct. Mark's going to give his analysis. Yeah. I will mention this headline because Mark's not here, and it's going to cause him to have a tizzy, and that is the national debt.
The debt.
$39 trillion. And I love all the headlines about it because they're making it sound like it's because of the war in Iran that we hit $39 trillion. It's like, no, it wasn't going to happen at all, but that darn Donald Trump brought us into that war, and that's what caused $39 trillion.
It's all his
so
fault.
Silly.
It is silly, man. It really is. Yeah, as if we weren't going to just keep skyrocketing this national debt without the help of the war in Iran.
Right. The debt was just going to freeze in place.
Exactly. There you go. Well, Sam, let's hit some more of these questions here. Let's get Walt's question. Walt's got a good one.
Walt says, I'm 61 years old using the FISM growth and income model. I will likely need to start using my investments in 4 years. I think I might be too heavily invested in growth stocks as compared to growth and income stocks. I currently have 35 to 38% of my portfolio in growth stocks. Do you have a recommendation of what percentage of my portfolio I should carry in growth and income stocks?
Great question, Walt. Appreciate that. We don't have a particular numerical recommendation, but I will tell you my opinion, Walt, so take it for what it's worth. I think where you're at right now is actually a good place to be for right now. I think it's a good place to be. In the growth and income model, Walt, and if our other partners who are in the growth and income model understand this, you have the opportunity for significant exposure in all three styles: growth and income, and income. All three styles, you have significant exposure. This is unique among our models. If you're in the growth model, you're going to have significant growth exposure only. If you're in the income model, it's going to be the opposite, income exposure. But this one, you really have the opportunity to have equal exposure, as it were, to all three. I'll give an example. Sam and I are each heavily invested in growth and aggressive stocks. We have a tiny sliver, I would say,
My rule
growth and
is
income.
see an aggressive, buy an aggressive.
That's right. That's Sam's rule.
Probably
Sam,
not the best
let me ask
rule
you this.
for him.
And Sam, you can... This is a peek behind the curtain, so you can feel free to answer this as much as you want. But do you have any income stocks in your portfolio?
I have one that's technically growth and income.
Okay. Nice. I think I have that same one as well, and I might have one income player, maybe one. So that just shows you, Walt, there's going to be a difference there. Absolutely. Mathematically, think about this. You're right near the 1/3 mark for growth, 35 to 38%. It's slightly above that 1/3 mark, but it's right around it. Assuming you're equally weighted across the other two, that leaves about 1/3 G&I, growth and income, and then 1/3 income. That sounds like a good place to me. It really does. I think that's great. For the growth and income model, that's a good place to be. Even distribution across all styles. Now, as I said earlier, Walt, I'm glad you're in that spot right now, but right now is the key. I do think you shouldn't stay in that particular spot for much longer. I think your 4-year timetable is really the clue there. That's really what gives me the clue for when it's time to start drawing down on these investments. So you said you're 61 and you've got 4 years where you'll start drawing down on these. 4 years is not definitionally long-term in our book. 4 years would be more considered midterm, honestly. So if you've got that midterm timetable...
Seth, actually, the midterms happen every year.
Sorry, the midterms happen every year. That's exactly right. Those are different midterms, which, by the way, we should be keeping an eye on, folks, because this is an important midterm we have coming up here. But this is different midterm. This is midterm investing. This is 2 to 6 years or so. It's still a nice amount of time, but it's not long-term. As such, Walt, I tell you, I think it's wise starting now and taking your time over the next several years or so to move steadily out of the growth plays and lean more towards income, growth and income, but then eventually income. The reason for this simply is that as this money transforms from investing for the future to immediate use, you want it in a more stable investment, stable in quotes to call it that, because is there really a any kind of investment that's truly stable. There's always risk with them, but these are ones that might not spike or drop based on what the market's doing in a particular day. The first clue is your 4-year timetable. The second clue, actually, Walt, is that you feel like you're too heavy in growth. I'd call that your sleep factor. I'd call that wisdom. I'd call that your conscience. I think it's wise to listen to that. Because you feel like you're heavy in growth, start moving a little bit away from it. And I know people will say, well, you're going by your feelings. No. I'm not saying that you're going by the whims of your heart. I'm saying you're going by the God-given wisdom and conscience that he's given you. If you feel uncomfortable with the amount of growth exposure you have, move slightly out of it. That's no problem at all. I see great wisdom in that. I love your wisdom here, Walt. It's on display, and I think you're spot on. Start now moving slowly away from the growth plays, more into growth and income, and you'll do a great job. And, Walt, it's a good reminder to understand why we lean into income more as we get older. These income plays, we don't worry as much about price fluctuation as we do about income to support your lifestyle. So say you have a preferred or a REIT, might drop in value for a while, but the income would continue. Those dividends continue. That's what you're relying on. You probably are semi-retired or fully retired. The only time that we really worry about a drop in price with an income product is if the cash flows or other fundamentals break down substantially. So hope that can be encouraging for you, brother. I appreciate it so much. We got a call coming in right now, folks. Let's get to Claude. I think this is Claude from the chat, calling from Louisiana. Claude, good morning, brother.
Hey, how are y'all?
We're doing great, man. What's on your mind this morning, Claude?
Well, I had mentioned in the chat a few days ago about something our church did. It's a new church for us. We just moved and joined. And it said they were going to go to spring break and beach reach. And I had never heard of that. So I just wanted to give you a quick update on when they got back.
Yeah, please.
When I first heard about it, they said, we're going to take vans down there and cook food and feed kids. And I said, and then take them and give them transportation to and from hotels and to and from bars. And I thought to myself, should a church be doing that?
Right.
But they said, well, what we do is while we're taking them, we witness to them. So I said, there's other churches down there too. There were a lot of vans, and long story short, if it's too late for that, but 490 something people were converted, accepted Christ.
Wow. Claude, that's a winning Wednesday story, brother. This is Thursday. No, that's awesome, man. That is so cool. So cool. Thanks for sharing that with us, brother.
Our church bus was responsible for 49 of those.
Wow.
And so it was a strategy that at first blush didn't sound all that good, but then when it produced that kind of a result, and of course I was worried sick that there was going to be some kind of terrorist attack on, this was Panama Beach and it was just covered with kids.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my gosh, what a soft target that is.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any incidents. They had no problems. And 490 something souls were saved.
Claude, that is amazing, brother. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Claude, thank you for setting the example as well in your church. I know it was your church's initiative, but you guys doing that, man, that's what the church is supposed to do. You go meet people where you're at, where they're at, with your opportunity. You take the opportunities that you can, take the opportunities that they come to you, and you spread the gospel. Man, that's awesome, Claude. I appreciate you sharing so much. You've encouraged me, and I'm sure you've encouraged a lot of listeners today, brother. So cool. Hey, Claude, listen, brother, I know you have another question. Jeff, you got a question too. I'll tell you guys what, I would love to hold you guys over because we're coming to the end of the show here. Can you guys hang on? And Claude, I'll talk to you off the air here about that particular question that you have. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Awesome. Right. Thanks so much, brother. Put you on hold here. Jeff, same thing with you, brother. Just hang on there. Folks, I appreciate it so much. Yeah, what an amazing story. We talked earlier, Sam, about what Crossroads is doing, reaching kids with the gospel. Well, Claude's church is also reaching kids, college kids, with the gospel in that environment. And you know what? I totally understand Claude's, kind of felt like there was a little bit of a tension there of, okay, should we be reaching them while they're going to bars and getting drunk and stuff like that? But you're reaching them where they're at. You're bringing them exactly what they need right where they're at. I feel like that's
you're not letting your own sense of self-righteousness get in the way.
Exactly. So, Claude, well done, man. Appreciate you encouraging us with that. That's so cool. Folks, as we finish the show here, let me just let you know right here that the markets are dropping not as heavily as they were once again. The Dow Jones is down 0.5%. Same with the S&P 500. And the NASDAQ is down 0.75%. The Russell 2000 down around a full percentage point, folks. So, once again, I'll remind you what I said in the first segment, what Mark has said as well. Be on the lookout for those opportunities to buy in at a good price. Long-term investors, you guys do such a great job. The Financial Issues family is awesome, and I just appreciate you all so much. Thank you for the encouragement you've given myself and Sam stepping in for Mark today. He'll be back tomorrow. We're looking forward to it. Focus Friday, folks. Don't miss it. And then overtime afterwards. Let's be found good and faithful stewards, folks. Thank you for honoring the Lord, and thank you for choosing to invest with biblical integrity. God bless you all. We'll see you tomorrow.
If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an FISM production.